Life seemed idyllic for Susan Osborne. After a day of fishing with her son Evan on Alabama's Chusa River, she told her best friend Holly she'd caught a keeper.
She's like, I think he's the one I really want to give a chance.
She was talking about Air Force veteran Jerry Osborne, the first man Susan dated after her divorce from Evan's father. 1 year later, they were married.
I don't believe he ever had a family before, so to him, this was his family.
Susan's mom, Linda Anklam, lived in Texas and only met her son-in-law a few times. But she says he seemed to be a great fit for her daughter and grandson.
He was very protective of them.
And he provided them with a nice family home. Jerry worked as a 911 dispatcher and Susan quit her job to be a full-time wife and mother. The last time Linda visited them in Alabama was Mother's Day.
And she took me out for a manicure, pedicure, we did lunch.
But just a few weeks later, something completely out of the ordinary happened.
I went to Michigan in June for my granddaughter's graduation, and I was sending her pictures all the time, and I wasn't hearing anything. She wasn't answering for several days.
Linda says her daughter had never gone more than a day or two without returning her texts or phone calls.
And my last text was jokingly, Susie, if you don't answer my text, I'm going to have to come to Alabama and look for you.
At that time, Linda considered calling the police, but didn't want to upset her daughter, who was always so private.
I said, I just don't want the police to go to her door and she's going to say, this is ridiculous that you're checking up on me.
Mysteriously, around the same time, Susan also stopped responding to her best friend, Holly, who had moved away to Florida just before Memorial Day.
I started thinking, okay, is she mad at me because I moved? Then when I couldn't get anyone on Evan's phone either, and then they were both disconnected, I knew something had to be wrong.
Neither Linda or Holly knew how to reach Susan's husband, Jerry.
I had no number for Jerry. I knew he worked at the Air Force Base.
But Holly had been around Jerry quite a bit. What she knew about him, she says, was revealed by Susan herself.
She had verbalized on multiple occasions that he was crazy and they had to watch out.
After 2 full months pass with no word from Susan and Evan, Susan's mother finally reports their disappearance to the Elmore County Sheriff's Department.
We're 60 days behind the 8 ball trying to work a missing persons case. That's not a good situation to be in.
But when police reach out to Jerry, he tells them his wife isn't missing at all. He claims she left him on Memorial Day for another man.
He was not able to provide anything other than a vague physical description.
Jerry tells cops Susan returned the next day, taking furniture and other items from the house. He even claimed to have proof that Susan and Evan were still alive.
He was able to produce a medical bill for Evan that he had obtained oral surgery a few days after they had supposedly left.
But the proof only raised more suspicions.
The bill was for a no-show, for a missing appointment.
Detectives quickly realized Jerry's explanations don't add up. The next day, they return to his house armed with a search warrant. They find him busy cleaning, just like the day before.
When he found out that we actually were there to investigate the matter, it would appear that he did some follow-up cleanup.
According to Detective Chris Ogden, there shouldn't have been much to clean. He says Jerry had pulled off a major home makeover in just 2 months, all by himself.
He had freshly painted the inside of his house. New carpeting had been installed. Old flooring had been taken up by him and disposed of. New furniture had been put in the house, and he had burned and disposed of multiple pieces of furniture.
Then, between all that new remodeling and cleaning, detectives' questions soon hit a brick wall.
He's exercised his right not to speak with us any longer.
Cops didn't have the evidence to charge Jerry with any crimes. Worried about possible clues that could be lost in the home, they turned to a powerful investigative tool.
What's referred to as luminol.
Luminol, a chemical used to detect blood not visible to the naked eye. And when investigators use luminol in the home, it reveals many indications of blood.
It was approximately 20.
That's very indicative of something that's more I would say along the violent lines of not a finger cut by any stretch of the imagination.
But still unsure of results, detectives hope for more evidence. Then Susan's mom, Linda, tells them about the home's extensive security system. She says there were cameras at every door.
I know that for a fact because I asked Susie, was it necessary?
But when cops look for recorded data,
It was no longer there because what did he do? He replaced the security camera.
detectives say 2 cadaver dogs picked up possible human remains at or near a 55-gallon drum where Jerry burns his trash. But after a search, none were ever found.
Nothing is there right now.
But it did appear evidence against Jerry Osborne was mounting. What was still missing for detectives? A motive.
I said, yes, tell the investigator they need to call me immediately.
The answer might be hidden inside the secretive communications between 2 best friends, Susan and Holly.
He said, oh, there's emails. And I said, yes, sir.
Investigators learned Susan was sending Holly emails for more than a year before she disappeared, and Holly saved every shocking one of them.
He probably has a little bit of different lifestyle than what Susan might have believed.
The subject line of Susan's email read, "Don't mention this in text."
She sent them through email because she didn't want him reading her text because he was kind of possessive over her phone, evidently.
But deep secrets were coming to light as Susan Osborne shared an explosive revelation about her husband, Jerry.
The first email she sent me was the screenshot of the emails back and forth between him and other men. And then the second email she sent me the same day was the profile page back from 2011 for the escort page.
Holly says her jaw dropped. It appeared Jerry was posing as a male escort.
Hi there, guys. My name is Jay.
There it was, in print, Jerry's ad on a website called boyscort.com.
I'm looking for older, generous gentlemen to spend some quality time with. Your satisfaction is guaranteed every time. Your sexy boy toy is waiting.
Holly says Susan was certain her husband Jerry was the one pictured in the ad.
She said she was able to identify him from the tattoos.
And Jerry's ink isn't the only thing that blew his cover.
The phone number that was in that profile page was a phone number I think he used to have.
Did Susan ever confront Jerry about what she had discovered?
She did later down the road at one point because he asked her why she wouldn't sleep in the bed with him.
But she says Susan didn't tell Jerry everything.
She knew a lot more than what she ever let on to him.
That's because Holly says Susan needed to carefully plan her escape before leaving.
So she said, I have to get a job first. I cannot put the kids without insurance.
But after discovering her husband's secret sex life, Holly says Susan turned paranoid.
One time, me, her, and Evan went to eat in a restaurant, and she made the comment that she would not sit with her back turned toward the door. And I said, is everything okay? And she said, yeah, I just have to be careful.
We obviously think that, this lady and her son, it doesn't look good right now.
One of the cops' theories is that Susan may have uncovered too many of her husband's secrets.
Oh, he's definitely a person of interest, and he's probably our only person of interest.
So why, even now, have detectives never arrested and charged Jerry Osborne? Turns out the blood samples found in Jerry's home using luminol proved inconclusive for DNA due to the cleaning supplies used prior to the testing. Jerry also claims his parents advised him to burn his furniture and remodel his home to move on from Susan because she had left him for another man. And police don't have enough evidence to arrest Jerry in connection with Susan and Evan's disappearances. To date, detectives have not even publicly identified him as a suspect in the case, but they tell True Crime News he remains a person of interest. With no remains ever found, the case has gone unsolved for years. Susan and Evan's family are still devastated without closure.
I feel hate. After losing my husband and losing my daughter and grandson, I feel dead inside. I feel empty.